Yo, what is up everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Matt and today we are going to be talking about vintage lenses and some things you should think about before you go ahead and buy them. Now, over the past few months and weeks, I know that a lot of YouTubers have been talking about vintage lenses and a lot of the advantages to going ahead and getting a couple of them, but I just wanted to, in this video, lay out a couple of things that you might want to consider before you go ahead and buy your first one. So that's the point that I want to make, is that a lot of these YouTubers are saying that these lenses are very, very cheap because they tend to be under $100. Now, I don't know about you, but the cheapest cheap to me is free. And with that being said, I found this lens and this lens sitting in a cardboard box in the back of the shop that I used to work at, the camera store, just collecting dust, and they have become two of my favorite vintage lenses that I actually have in my relatively small collection because I only have three. And that's kind of my first point, is that the first vintage lens that you get does not have to be the most expensive. It doesn't have to be the best. It just has to give you an understanding of the shooting experience itself and help you decide whether or not it's something that you actually want to do. So make sure you're not paying more than a matinee ticket price for that first vintage lens. The second thing is that these lenses are really not for vloggers. And I say that because they lack a lot of the features that vloggers love to rave about, and that is autofocus, stabilization, and sharpness. Now, on the latter portion of that list with the sharpness, that will depend on the lens itself. And even if you get, the same Yashinon 50mm f1.7, that doesn't mean that it's going to have the same sharpness as the one next to it. It just depends on how well that lens was taken care of and what the craftsmanship level was from which factory it came out of. So it will depend. But these lenses do not have autofocus and they do not have stabilization. So if you are walking around with these lenses, it can be quite difficult to try and get that run and gun type of setup, because these lenses will slow you down to about a brisk walk and whatever is slower than a gun. So leave a comment down below whatever is slower than a gun, and on your way down there, hit that subscribe button. But these lenses do have their place for the vlogger, and that is in those epic B-roll sequences where you're pulling focus and you're getting those really nice buttery bokeh balls, because these lenses do produce some absolutely beautiful bokeh characteristics depending on what lens you get, like this Helios right here. This bad boy, I'm sure you've heard a lot about this lens because of its swirly bokeh, but actually I really enjoy my Yashinon here. Is that how you say it? Yeah, Yashinon 50mm f1.7, and these are all M42 lenses that you're seeing here. And so it just does a really, really good job, and it has a very beautiful and a very kind of consistent shape to it. There's no weird blobs or anything. It's actually almost, it's not quite a football shape, but it's not quite circular as well. It's kind of like an in-between, and I think it's a very, very, very pretty look to it. So that is one thing just to keep that in mind, is that these really aren't for vlogging, but I will say they do a fantastic job when it comes to producing some beautiful, beautiful B-roll or even product video or photography. However, though, if you are using a micro four thirds sensor like I do, I have 3 Olympus cameras and I'm actually shooting on all of them right now. These lenses, even if you want to live that vintage lens life, may not be the ones that you are looking for. And I say that because the majority of them, the widest you'll get in a focal length is 20mm. This right here is a 23mm Super Takumar Asahi, and it's a fantastically beautiful lens, but on my camera it's a 56mm f3.5. I wish the aperture was faster, but it's not. So just keep that in mind if you are using micro four thirds, is that the widest you're going to get is probably 40mm. If you're fine with that and you're looking for a kind of that mid telephoto range prime lens, then by all means, go ahead and get that lens. But bear in mind that if you are watching a video about the Helios and you're seeing all these people saying, oh, there's this really cool swirly bokeh and it's fantastic, most of those people are probably shooting on a full frame sensor or a crop sensor. And with a micro four thirds sensor at 116 millimeters, there is no swirly bokeh. Trust me, there's no swirly bokeh. Nothing going on there. No swirly bokeh. So just keep that in mind that you aren't going to get all the characteristics of the lens because of the focal length at times is so tight that it kind of defeats the purpose of getting the lens in the first place. And my final thing that you should consider is that whenever you add any piece of gear to your kit, doesn't matter if it's a vintage lens, if it's a microphone, if it's a second battery, it doesn't matter what it is. Always think of how that will help your creative process and if it will add value to what you are creating. Now, I know a lot of us get gear acquisition syndrome when we watch our favorite YouTubers and they're, boasting about, or raving about a lens or whatever product it might be, and we don't necessarily think about, how we would apply that to what we make. And I have fallen victim to this, hence the Helios sitting right here on my desk. I went ahead and purchased one in the middle of the night because I was like, I gotta get one. They're so freaking cool, with the swirly bokeh and it's all this. And I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just so caught up in the hype that I went ahead and bought one. But make sure that whatever you're getting helps you in your creative process, or it's going to go forward with you in your creations of whatever you're making, because it's never good to have products or kit sitting on the shelf doing nothing. I know I don't like it because it just feels like it's wasting space and wasting my money just sitting there. So just keep that in mind and make sure that whatever you're getting will work with whatever you're trying to film or take photos of at that time. And maybe it's not getting that Super Takumar because, it's fantastic and whatever. Maybe it's looking at the lenses that you have now and working to master what you have now and be better for it. So maybe when you get that vintage lens, you have just an innate experience with shooting that everything kind of can work in more easily. I don't know if that makes sense, but kind of did in my head when I was thinking about it. So maybe, I don't know. But overall, I don't think that vintage lenses are a bad thing. In fact, I think they can be a really fun shooting experience, and they can impress you a lot with how well built they are on the inside and outside given their age. And I just want you to consider these things not necessarily as a foreboding and a warning, but just something to consider and think of the next time you're watching that top 10 vintage lens video for under $100 or whatever it is. So yeah, just keep these things in mind, and hopefully, that'll help you guide your buying and clicking on things. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below, and I will see you all next time. Bye.